And from Fairport Harbor, team number 3.
For the 25th consecutive year, Academic Challenge. Brought to you by the Illuminating Company. And now, ladies and gentlemen, here's Lou Maglio.
Hi, Rich. Good luck. Hi, David. Good luck. Good luck, East. Hello and welcome to Academic Challenge, where teams test their wits and try their luck against our electronic challenge board. And now, teams, listen carefully as Paul King lists tonight's categories.
Thanks, Lou. The categories in our first electronic challenge round will be history, literature, math, the right number, trivia, Ohio, sports, associations, and famous men and women.
And listen closely again as Paul explains the rules for the opening round.
In this round, each team will have 6 questions, and each correct answer earns them 10 points. No penalties in this round.
First team is East High. We have Cletus Pulliam, Barry Stevens, and Darnell Petway. Barry, you're the captain. The lights are spinning around. Push your yellow button there, and we'll see which category you have selected for the opening round tonight. And you get the category of sports. 6 sports questions for you right now. Here's number 1. Things have not been the same for the Edmonton Oilers ever since what superstar hockey player left to play for Los Angeles?
Wayne Gretzky.
Right. In the title of his memoirs, British historian Raleigh Trevelyan describes as golden what sort of bird that Americans associate with Baltimore and baseball?
Orioles.
Correct. Press, snatch, and clean and jerk are not terms used by pickpockets, but by competitors in what sport?
Wrestling.
That's correct. In 1951, the future actor Chuck Connors played first base for what National League team whose home field is Wrigley Field?
Chicago Cubs.
Correct. In 1927, a group called the Savoy Big Five changed its name to become what exhibition basketball team noted for its comical style of play?
Harlem Globetrotters.
Right. To date, the Minnesota Vikings have retired the jersey number of only one football player. What scrambling quarterback whose number was 10?
Fran Tarkenton.
That's correct, Cletus. Youngstown East, you conclude this round with 60 points. Next up, we have John Marshall, James Gumbus, David Hinton, and Iyad Hassan. David Hinton, you're the captain. Push your button there, and we'll see which category you get. And you have selected the category of history. We will have 6 history questions for you. This is the first. Said to look like a cheese box on a raft, what ironclad ship was rushed to Hampton Roads where the South's Merrimack had mousetrapped a Union fleet?
Pass.
The answer there was the Monitor. When he called their speech uncouth, William Bradford was speaking about Europeans and what country to which the Pilgrims fled for refuge before coming to America?
Netherlands?
Yes. Ironically, an invention by a black engineer named Norbert Rillieux led to an increased demand for slaves and the production of what sweet substance derived from cane?
Sugar.
Yes. In the 1832 presidential elections, Henry Clay failed to dislodge from the White House what incumbent, a former general from Tennessee, who was our 7th president?
Jackson?
Andrew Jackson is correct. The United States announced its independence on July 4th, 1776, but on July 4th, 1946, it granted independence to what Pacific nation of islands acquired in the Spanish-American War?
Philippines.
Correct. Although a Boxer rebellion today might involve Mike Tyson, the 1900 Boxer rebellion involved anti-foreigners in what Far Eastern country?
China.
China is right, James. That's it for John Marshall this round. You finish up with 50 points. And now we move along to Fairport Harding. We have Dave Simmons, Rich Hambor, and Sharon Sullivan. Rich, you're the captain. Push your yellow button there, and we'll see which category you get for the first round tonight. And you have selected famous men and women. Famous men and women. 6 questions in this round. Here is number 1. The Canadian doctor, Frederick Banting, was the first to isolate what protein hormone that's important in the treatment of diabetes?
Insulin.
Right. The Godolphin Arabian was the father of modern thoroughbreds, but a white mule named Fata was the favorite mount of what prophet who founded Islam in Arabia?
Muhammad.
Yes, Rich. In 1878, Emma M. Nutt became the first woman hired for what communications job, later parodied by comedian Lily Tomlin as her character Ernestine?
Telephone operator?
Yes, Dave. Dogs are not only man's best friend, but they were his best pupils for what Russian scientists who experimented with dogs to discover the conditioned reflex?
Pavlov.
Yes. You'd have to visit Covington, Kentucky to see the childhood home of Daniel Beard, one of the founders of what youth organization?
Boy Scouts.
Correct. Most U.S. presidents try to live by the Constitution, but one president who was buried with a copy of the Constitution was what 17th president, the only one tried for impeachment?
Johnson.
Andrew Johnson is correct. Fairport Harding, you finish up the round with 60 points. We'll be back with our fast-moving lightning round, but teams first remember that at the end of tonight's match, we'll check the ladder on our Super Bowl scoreboard. At the end of the season, the 3 teams with the top score will join us for an Academic Challenge Super Bowl. So far, the highest point totals have been Gilmore, Harding, and Cleveland Heights. And we will be back after this word from the Illuminating Company.
This glorious day
Today
is a school day,
a little bit brighter,
a work day,
a little bit lighter,
a business day,
today,
a shopping day,
a little bit faster, a little better.
a 24-hour day like any other day that starts up with people you count on. 6,000 people on the line. The Energy Makers.
Making today a little brighter.
Cleveland, the comeback city. A city on the move. And we're working to keep it that way. We're the Greater Cleveland Growth Association, your Chamber of Commerce. And we're in business to make Greater Cleveland great. A vital place to live. A productive place to work. An exciting place to play. At the Greater Cleveland Growth Association, our goal is to keep this city on the grow. Because when it comes to Cleveland, we mean business.
Before we continue with more questions, let us now have a look at the schools that are competing in tonight's match. Youngstown East High School is home to the Golden Bears, whose girls basketball team has been city champion for the past 5 years. Chemistry teacher Laverne Monroe is in her second year as Academic Challenge Team Advisor. Says East sponsors an excellence banquet at the end of each school year to award trophies to honor roll students. She also notes that the choir and its new edition singers have won numerous regional and state awards. At Cleveland's John Marshall High School, a big buddy club enables students to serve as role models for youngsters 5 to 10 years old. The club is affiliated with the Child Conservation Council of Greater Cleveland. Academic Challenge Advisor is Robert Vineyard, who's in charge of John Marshall's internal suspension program. Vocational offerings include food services for culinary careers and fabric services for tailoring. The outlook appears bright for the next football season since this year's JV team was the city champion. Located in Fairport Harbor on Lake Erie, Fairport Harding is one of the smallest public schools around with just 250 students in grades 7 through 12. A neighborhood school, it has no buses or cafeteria, and students walk home for lunch. Kathleen Petrarca is in her first season as Academic Challenge Advisor here, but earlier served at Burton's Berkshire High School. Despite its size, Fairport Harding is a proud athletic and academic tradition. Its National Honor Society dates back to 1923, which puts it among the earliest chapters. And now it's time for the lightning round. Paul King, what are the rules?
All 3 teams will compete in a visual free-for-all lasting 75 seconds. The first team to ring its bell for each item will be recognized. The right answer gets you 10 points, but we'll take away 10 points for incorrect answers or failure to reply.
And here we go with the lightning round. This category would be of great interest to autograph collectors because it is about people who sign things and things that have been signed. Can you identify the following? Teams, if you're ready, here we go with the lightning round. The first man to sign the Declaration of Independence, East was first.
John Hancock.
Correct. President who signed the Emancipation Proclamation, East again.
Abe Lincoln.
Right. First black major leaguer signed by the Brooklyn Dodgers.
Jackie Robinson.
Harding. Jackie Robinson is right. English king, he signed the Magna Carta. We
King
have
John.
Harding again.
King John.
Right. Illiterates usually sign documents with this letter of the alphabet. East.
X.
Right. In 1841, President signed few papers during his 31-day term. Harding.
William Henry Harrison.
Right. He wrote and signed letter from a Birmingham jail, 1963. Harding.
Martin Luther King Jr.
That's correct, Rich. World War I peace treaty signed in this small French city. Harding.
Versailles.
Correct. Ship where 1945 U.S.-Japan peace treaty was signed. Marshall.
USS Missouri.
Missouri is right, James, yes. Author of Oliver Twist, we have Harding.
Charles Dickens.
Correct. 1620 compact signed by passengers on this ship. East.
Mayflower.
Right, Barry. Artist signed works with a butterfly, painted his mother. Harding.
Whistler.
Whistler is correct, and that concludes our lightning round. Now remember that at the end of the season, the three teams with the highest scores will be back to compete in our Academic Challenge Super Bowl. Those three teams will each receive a computer for their school. Computer prizes are provided by Apple Computer Incorporated and Holcomb's Educational Materials, Apple's largest educational dealer in Ohio. See Holcomb's for Apple's special educator purchase prices. Today there are more Apples in schools than any other computer. In addition to their Apple computer, the winner of our Super Bowl program will also receive a very special championship trophy. And we will be back in just a moment after this from the Illuminating Company.
Creative energy. It may not be in the textbooks, but you can find it everywhere in the classroom. In computer games that teach, in high-tech science fairs, on field trips. Northeast Ohio students and teachers have many opportunities to actually see some of the amazing things they read about in their textbooks.
Hi, I'm Bill Collins, one of the many CEI employees who visit schools with an electric safety program. Last year, we taught more than 24,000 5th and 6th graders how to be safe around electricity.
And there's more. We conduct workshops for teachers, provide textbooks, videos, and computer games, all to help teach kids the ABCs of energy. For more information about our educational services programs, call or write the Illuminating Company.
To recap what the lightning round did for the score of the teams, and then it's back to our electronic challenge board. Paul.
In this round, each question is worth 20 points. But now you may lose 20 points for incorrect answers or lose 10 points for passing a question. Any team answering all 8 questions correctly will gain 25 bonus points. The categories in this electronic challenge round will be history, literature, energy and science, color spectrum, letter perfect, potluck, all the same, says who, and geography.
East is up next. Barry, you're the captain. Push your button there, and we'll see which category you get. And you have selected energy and science. Energy and science. 8 questions in this round. When a meteor breaks up in the atmosphere and showers the Earth, the fragments are called meteorites, quarks, or comets.
Meteorites.
Yes. Scientists predicted the existence of the farthest planet from the sun before it was ever seen. What is this most distant planet? Pluto, Uranus, or Saturn?
Pluto.
Correct. Choice. Which of the following plants is not able to assimilate nitrogen directly from the atmosphere? Beans, clover, or cabbage?
Pass.
All right, the answer there was cabbage. Choice. Methyl alcohol and ethylene glycol are used extensively in winter for what purpose? Solvents, antifreezes, or alcoholic beverages?
Alcoholic beverages.
No, the answer there was antifreezes. Choice. The loss of a neutron from the nucleus does which of the following? Changes a physical property, causes the subsequent loss of an electron, or reduces the atomic number?
Pass.
All right, that was changes a physical property. Choice. In the equation E equals mc squared, the symbol C represents the speed of light, heat energy, or frictional resistance.
Speed of light.
Correct. What substance has replaced sulfur dioxide and ammonia as refrigerants? Freon, carbon dioxide, or calcium chloride?
Freon.
Correct. Choice. Some of the liquid part of the blood leaks out through the walls of the capillary into the lymph surrounding the cells. This liquid part is called plasma, lymphocytes, or white corpuscles.
Plasma.
No, yes, the answer is plasma. That is correct. East, you finish up this round with 160 points. And now we move along to John Marshall with 60 points at this point. David, you're the captain. Push your yellow button there, and we'll see which category you select for this round. And you've got the category of geography. 8 geography questions for John Marshall. Here is number 1. If Nanki Poo and Madame Butterfly met in a class on flower arranging, they might discuss the lovely plants native to their home. What land of the rising sun?
Japan.
Yes. If the ticket read Kathmandu, your destination would be what Asian nation where Sir Edmund Hillary climbed Mount Everest?
Nepal.
Nepal is right. In the 1890s, there were very few buffaloes left on the range, but thanks to efforts to save wildlife, there are now about 70,000 buffaloes in what oldest U.S. national park?
Pass.
The answer there, Yellowstone. A horsewoman might appropriately wear her Wellington boots in what Pacific Island country whose capital city is Wellington?
Pass.
All right, the answer there was New Zealand. The world's northernmost capital city is Reykjavik, just below the Arctic Circle. In what island country of gurgling geysers is this city located?
Iceland.
Yes, James. The Chihuahua Trail might have gone to the dogs in recent years, but 2 centuries ago this trail provided the major crossing point of what river between northern Mexico and Texas?
Rio Grande.
Rio Grande is right. As odd as it seems, a person at the northern tip of Maine must go south to get to what Canadian city bordering the Plains of Abraham?
Pass.
All right, the answer there was Quebec. The Dead Sea is very salty, but the least salty of the world's major seas is probably what B-initialed sea that is bordered by Latvia, Finland, and Poland?
Baltic.
Baltic Sea is right. John Marshall, you finish up the round with 130 points. And we move over to Fairport Harding. Rich, push your button there. We'll see which category you get for this round. Literature is what you have selected. We will have 8 literature questions for you now. Number 1, cartoon character Popeye and the Arabian Nights Sinbad share what seagoing occupation, the name of which is usually appended to their names?
Sailor.
Yes. One of George Bernard Shaw's major works is Major Barbara, a satirical treatment of what religious army founded by General William Booth?
Salvation Army.
Yes, Dave. While sea mammals have never been pictured on U.S. postage stamp, one stamped envelope does picture what specific white whale sought by Melville's Captain Ahab?
Moby Dick.
Correct. You might abbreviate Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment with the initials C and P, but what Jane Austen novel might you shorten to P and P?
Pride and Prejudice.
Yes. In a hole in the ground there lived a hobbit, wrote what author in the first chapter of one of his books?
J.R.R. Tolkien.
Yes. The best-known novel by Andrei Belyaev, a science fiction writer in the Soviet Union, has a title suggesting what class of damp vertebrates, which includes frogs and salamanders?
Amphibians.
Correct, Dave. Time was called a sand pile we run our fingers in by what Chicago poet and biographer of Lincoln? He also wrote Fog.
Carl Sandburg.
That is right. In The Jungle Book by Kipling, the character Shere Khan is what sort of animal, also represented by Hobbes in the current comic strip Calvin and Hobbes?
Tiger.
That's right, he's a tiger. That's it, Fairport Harding. Bonus points, 315 points for them at this point. We will be back with a time capsule round right after this message.
Does it pay to volunteer? Just ask a busy executive who raises money for the Ashtabula Society for the Handicapped, a United Way-funded agency. Or ask a scout leader on a hike through the woods. Or ask me, Jan Dugan. My work with the Hospice of Lake County gives me a good feeling. It comes from the satisfaction of helping others. All of us in Cleveland and Northeast Ohio should be proud that there are so many thousands of people who donate time, energy, and talent to the hundreds of service clubs and charitable organizations working to make today a little brighter.
We're the energy makers, making today a little brighter.
Students appearing on tonight's show will receive a photograph of their team as they appear on the show and an Academic Challenge t-shirt. In addition, the winners of tonight's show will receive a special plaque commemorating their victory.
And welcome back to Academic Challenge. While we recap the team scores on your screen, Paul will give us the upcoming time capsule round rule.
We now have a special round of 3-part video questions. The questions are keyed to a clip from an historical newsreel. All teams will be in direct competition. Each part of the 3-part question is worth 10 points, and there is a 10-point penalty for incorrect answers. Don't forget to hold your buzzer down if you wish to answer.
Okay, let's roll the first video clip. In 1966, David Lafferty deliberately spent 130 days in a cave 400 feet underground. A Greek word meaning cave gives us what term we use to describe a person who explores caves. Fairport Harding was first on there.
Spelunker.
Spelunker is right. The particular cavern in which Mr. Lafferty lived had what name suggesting both a large rock and a city in Colorado? East was first.
Boulder.
Yes. Among the books available to Mr. Lafferty during his time underground was what Mark Twain novel in which a character named Injun Joe starves to death in a cave? Fairport Harding.
Tom Sawyer.
Tom Sawyer is right. And now let's roll the second video clip. Since the year 1163, Notre Dame Cathedral in Paris has stood upon an island in what river that flows through Paris? John Marshall.
Seine.
Right. This newsreel from 1944 shows crowds outside Notre Dame cheering what French general who led the Free French forces in World War II. He later served as president. Fairport Harding.
Charles de Gaulle.
Yes. Notre Dame Cathedral is rich in history, but there is no evidence that what hunchback Victor Hugo character with a Q initialed name ever worked there as a bell ringer east.
Quasimodo.
Quasimodo is right. Now let's roll the third video clip. In 1943, this ceremony honored what Russian-born engineer and inventor who is credited with developing the helicopter? Any tries on this? Answer there, Igor Sikorsky. As a film clip indicates, Sikorsky presented the prototype of his helicopter to the Ford Museum in what state where the Ford Motor Company has its headquarters? Harding.
Michigan?
Yes. Igor Sikorsky said he first thought about helicopters when, as a child, he saw drawings of flying machines by what Italian Renaissance artist, Harding again?
Da Vinci.
Leonardo da Vinci is right, Rich, and that concludes our time capsule round. We will be back for our final grab bag round after this message from the Illuminating Company.
Have you any idea how much power you possess? Every time you hit a switch, turn a dial, plug in a cord, press a button, you conduct your own electricity. Turn it on, keep it hot, set it back. Play it smart. Save yourself energy and money. To find out more, call for your free copy of the Electric Decision Maker. And remember, practice makes perfect.
Making today a little brighter.
Son, I figured when you were old enough, I'd talk to you about drugs. I'd tell you they're nothing but poison. Tell you to stay away from the garbage that pushes that junk. Only I never figured that I ought to be telling that to a 13-year-old.
If you don't teach your kids to say no to drugs, it's as good as saying yes.
Now the teams face their final competition as we move along to the grab bag. But first, we'll recap the standings. In third place at this point is John Marshall. In second place is Youngstown East. And in first place, leader so far, Fairport Harding. Now in the grab bag, teams gain 20 points for each correct answer, miss or fail to answer, and 20 points are deducted. Okay, here we go with the grab bag. Teams, here's the first question. Although one seldom thinks of Richard Nixon and Prince together, a book by the ex-president, and a song by Prince both feature what year, which arrives at the end of the century? Fairport Harding.
1999.
Correct. H.G. Wells wrote a novel entitled In the Days of the Comet, anticipating the 1910 approach to our solar system of what particular comet? East.
Halley's.
Yes. Choice, coronary thrombosis affects the heart. Does encephalitis attack an individual's brain, stomach, or liver?
Brain.
Harding, brain is correct. One of the most valuable members of the Lewis and Clark expedition was a slave who shared his name, John Marshall.
Sacagawea.
No, the answer there was York. The U.S. C-131 cargo aircraft was given what name, suggesting the good person who helps the unfortunate in a parable in the Bible? East.
Samaritan.
Yes, Barry. 1929, George Bernard Shaw gave a costly motorcycle to Army Private T.E. Shaw, the assumed name of what British hero of the Arabia campaign? Any tries on this? No, the answer, T.E. Lawrence. James Fenimore Cooper, best known for his leather stocking tales, also wrote an autobiography of what linen pocket item that Shakespeare made central to his plot in Othello? East.
A handkerchief.
Yes. What is the area of a right triangle whose legs are 5 and 14? Harding.
13.
No, the answer there was 35. Divers off the coast of Egypt have spotted the remains of Pharos, one of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, which originally served as what navigational aid? Any tries? Answer here, lighthouse. When Andrew Johnson was acquitted by the Senate in his impeachment trial, this forced the resignation of what Secretary of War, who had also held this powerful post in the Lincoln administration? No tries here. That was Edwin M. Stanton. Ever since a cost-cutting measure in 1982, U.S. pennies are no longer 95% copper, but are made mostly of what cheaper metal, whose chemical symbol is Zn. Harding.
Zinc.
Zinc is right, Sharon. In the Puccini opera, The Girl of the Golden West, the character Ashby is an agent for what Western Transport, Banking, and Stagecoach Company? Answer here, Wells Fargo. Although the late actor James Mason often portrayed villains, he also recorded. That's it, we are out of time, and that concludes tonight's match. Now let's take a look at the final scores from tonight's competition. With 120 points, we have John Marshall. With 240 points, we have Youngstown East. And our champion tonight, with 405 points, we have Fairport Harding. And now let's check our Super Bowl scoreboard and see if tonight's winner has a big enough score to win a place for itself on the ladder. Did they make it with 405 points? You bet they made it. Congratulations, Fairport Harding. And we do hope you will join us next week when Academic Challenge features teams from Highland, Sandusky, and Westlake. This is Lou Maglio. We thank you very much for watching. Have a terrific week, and we'll see you next time for the next edition of Academic Challenge. Bye-bye.
Academic Challenge has been brought to you by The Illuminating Company.